On the news, President Buhari launches post-NYSC job scheme for 20,000 graduates. Katsina government bans interstate cattle movement. And CBN directs banks to publish names of forex ban defaulters. A warm welcome and thank you for joining us on News Now. I am Folashade Ogurinde. President Muhammadu Buhari has flagged off the Nigeria Jubilee Fellows Program, a youth empowerment partnership initiative between the federal government and the United Nations Development Program, UNDP. Speaking during the ceremony at the State House, Abuja, Buhari said 20,000 Nigerians will benefit annually from the program, which seeks to empower Nigerians with needed skills to boost job creation and economic growth. Buhari said the program will provide a pathway for young Nigerians to gain work experience to top-tier organizations, gaining relevant skills and building the right networks for the future in various public and private sectors. The president added that the program will build on other efforts of the government to support young Nigerians, such as the 75 billion naira youth fund in the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development, with 25 billion naira released annually for 3 years. Joining us on news to speak on the importance of the Nigeria Jubilee Fellows Program is Senior Program Officer at Budget, Mr. Iyanoluwa Bolarinwa. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, how significant is this program that has just been launched by the federal government? Now, remember that the N-Power project is also still running. How much difference do you think this will make in addressing the issues of youth unemployment and social development?
All right. Thank you very much for having me this evening. Thank you very much. And I think it's a very important topic that we are discussing this evening, youth empowerment, right? And also talking about the numbers of unemployment that we've seen so far, and the data set putting Nigeria in a very tight avenue of having so much people out of work. The numbers have skyrocketed in the last 5 years, right? So this is a very welcome development because we should not be a critique at all times and try to also appreciate the little that the government is able to achieve with partners, and also try to see how much this can also help in reducing the numbers out there. So I would say it's a very nice, very good development. Also, let's look at the 774 jobs that were supposed to be created, 774,000 jobs that were supposed to be created, and I also look at how much has Empower been able to do so far. So, well, just to answer that question, it's an important step in the right direction, but it's not enough, right? Because if you look at the numbers of, we have over 20 million people out of work, young Nigerians out of work, right, and either being underemployed or unemployed at all, right? So it's just a drop in the ocean, right? If you look at the figures that we have, it's just a drop in the ocean, and this does not really actually make so much difference as we want it to do. But we can say yes, it's a step in the right direction. Thank you very much.
Now, Mr. Bolarinwa, what ways would you recommend to ensure that this process is transparent and it achieves the desired goals? Recall that Nigeria is a very large nation. I mean, we have lots of unemployed youths. What ways do you think the federal government can ensure that this process is as transparent as possible?
All right. Thank you very much for that question. And basically, I had hoped that's where our conversation would steer towards, because considering the kind of work that we do in the civic development space, and also as much as we also preach transparency and accountability, right? So the process I would have considered, and I want to believe that the government will also consider in making sure that this process is flawless and also not mad with I know you, you know me, kind of a procedure we usually see in Nigeria, is to actually look at from the local government level. Let us see people who are actually qualified for this program, because, you know, in time past, what we've seen, and, you know, sometimes the government even means well, right? The middleman sometimes is the problem. right? Because at the end of the day, you can't expect the government to be everywhere, but they've given the responsibility to some people. So I think what we can say here is just to make sure that there are mechanisms of control and mechanisms of also checks and balances, right? To also let people understand that, yes, we're bringing this opportunity, but we're bringing it for people that qualify, right, for this particular program. So I want to believe that there's a step-by-step instruction as towards who are those that qualify. That's one. Number two is that there is also a transparent and a open method, which is, when I say transparent and open method, I mean maybe there's going to be an online platform, maybe there's going to be
I'm sorry
a
to cut you
procedure.
short here, Mr. Bolarinwa, but you just said something about ensuring that the federal government gives priority to qualified citizens. And now the program hasn't, said anything about who or what gets what position, or how the 20,000 Nigerian youths will be selected. But how do you think the certain citizens who really need this job, how do you think they should go about choosing these people, the 20,000 Nigerian youths?
All right. So, thank you very much for that question, right? And I think these jobs address some problems, right? And I want to believe that we have qualified people in all of these sectors, right? So the government should please look at these sectors, right? Set qualifications, right? Which means, like, on the strength of that qualifications that have been set, these people can apply, right? And when they apply, rather, there is an unbiased board or an unbiased set of judges who select the people who are qualified for this job, right? And the reason why I'm saying this is because at the end of the day, there's still we hope and we pray that we are done with the era of nepotism, right? Where it's just like my kinsmen that become qualified automatically because they are related to me. But I hope and pray that they are selected based on merit, right? And so let the government put out the qualifications and let people apply. So do your screening when the Nigerian youth have applied. Thank you very much.
Well, Senior Program Officer at Budget, Mr. Yanoluwa Bolarinwa, thank you so much for speaking to us. Moving on now, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo is advocating the goodwill and determination of all Nigerians to address the challenges of the girl child in Nigeria. Osinbajo gave the charge at a national dialogue on girls themed towards a girl-friendly Nigeria held in Abuja on Tuesday. Our correspondent, Simis Ladigun, tells us more.
The challenges of the girl child in Nigeria are numerous, ranging from gender discrimination, female mutilation, girl child marriage, gender-based violence, sexual abuse, and many more. Professor Osinbajo said these issues need to be addressed by the society as a unit to give the Nigerian girl hope for tomorrow. He said the federal government made a deliberate decision to ensure the female gender is given priority in all its social intervention programs.
The creation of the Human Capital Development Unit was a special NEC project, a special National Economic Council project, headed by a special advisor to track the implementation of relevant policies and laws and to track domestication of legislation. We've also committed in word and deed to education so that we can ensure that no child is denied access to free basic education. We believe that free and compulsory education of girls is game-changing in many respects, and it has been empirically shown to positively impact the age of marriage and even maternal and infant mortality.
Minister of Women Affairs Pauline Talen and President of Women Arise Dr. Joe Oke-Odumaki believe the girl child is the future of any society, and there is need to ensure that the girl child is not put in a position that will jeopardize her future and vision.
1. We need to address the gaps in existing legal and policy frameworks, allocate adequate resources for the protection of our girls. We need to continue engaging in multi-sectoral collaboration between ministries to ensure progressive realization and immediate protection of girls. Creating a safe Nigeria for all girls where they meaningfully participate in governance. We also need to eliminate gender norms and cultural stereotypes that impede the efforts made to protect girls and to end all forms of violence against children, particularly abuse and sexual exploitation of girls.
The girl child remains the lubricant of survival of any entity. Imagine having about 308 million girls in Africa. And we also see that those who belong to the literate category are about 63 million. So the girl child will grow up to become a mother, to be part of the society, to become an educationist, and that's why we want the issue of girl child to be prioritized. And I still believe that a state of emergency must be declared in the affairs of girl child in terms of social, economy, and even education-wise.
Speakers advocate the passing of the Child Rights Act by all states in the country to give the girl child a voice and an opportunity to maximize her potentials. Semisola Digun, TV360 News.
As part of measures to tackle insecurity, the Katsina State government has issued an executive order enforcing the closure of some roads in the state. In a notice personally signed by Governor Aminu Masari on Monday, he also suspended the sale of animal at markets in 14 local government areas of the state. Also, only 2 designated fuel stations have been allowed to sell fuel that is not more than 5,000 naira to motorists in each of the following 14 councils. Masari equally announced a ban on transportation of cattle trucks from Katsina State to any state in Nigeria. He has also banned lorries and trucks from carrying firewood from the bush. The Ondo State Governor, Rotimi Akeredolu, has signed the anti-grazing bill passed by the State House of Assembly into law. Akeredolu signed the bill into law at his office in Akure, the state capital, on Tuesday. The Southern Governors Forum had at its last meeting set September 1st as a deadline for governors in the region to sign the anti-open grazing bill into law. In a statement released after the signing, the State Commissioner for Information and Orientation, Donald Ojogo, said the move is aimed at stemming needless instances of skirmishes, conflicts, as well as infractions on the enviable peaceful disposition of the good people of Ondo State. Akeredolu urged all Ondo residents to take advantage of this law, adding that compliance shall be given to utmost attention. The International Organization for Migration, IOM, has organized a town hall meeting on local opportunities as alternative to irregular migration. At the event held in Lagos, stakeholders encouraged young Nigerians to develop faith in the country instead of desperately seeking ways to leave the country through irregular channels. The IOM also reiterated its commitment to supporting the efforts of the Nigerian government to manage migration through capacity building.
As an agency, we open for collaboration, we open for ideas to see ways in which we can push the migration agenda, the agenda on promoting safe migration here in Nigeria, and also the agenda of reducing incidences of human trafficking. As you all know, this calls for support from all of us.
There's nowhere in the world that the streets are lined in gold. We have seen it there. And we have seen those that have been repatriated and those that have come back on their own. They have stories to tell. I want to say to all of us here present today that Nigeria is a blessed nation, a nation flowing with milk and honey. But it is only when you look very well and you will see where you will get your own milk and honey.
We are reaching out to people of same kind, people that are like us. So we are using the experience we have to change what they themselves would have done or made the mistake they would have made on deciding the kind of migration they want to do. So our story helps them make good decisions on safe migration.
Meanwhile, the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, in Sokoto State, says it has rescued 22 trafficked Nigerians bound for Tripoli, Libya. Addressing journalists at the NAPTIP Zonal Command in Sokoto, Zonal Commander Abubakar Bashiru said the victims were between the ages of 15 to 20 years were rescued in Niger Republic. He added that the victims, mostly from the southern parts of Nigeria, have been repatriated to Nigeria by the Nigerian police, who then handed them over to the officials of the Nigeria Immigration Service at the Ilena border. Bashiri said NATIP has commenced investigation to find out how the corporates responsible for the heinous crime against the victims. But let's take a break here, but still to come, the Tigers crash out of AfroBasket after losing to Uganda. Details of this story and more after the break. Now, here is a reminder of some of our top stories. President Muhammadu Buhari has flagged off the Nigeria Jubilee Fellows Program, a youth empowerment partnership initiative between the federal government and the United Nations Development Program, UNDP. Speaking during the ceremony at the State House, Abuja, Buhari said 20,000 Nigerians will benefit annually from the program, which seeks to empower Nigerians with needed skills to boost job creation and economic growth. We also told you that the Ondo State Governor, Rotimi Akeredolu, has signed the anti-grazing bill passed by the State House of Assembly into law. The Southern Governors Forum had at its last meeting set September 1st as a deadline for governors in the region to sign the anti-open grazing bill into law. Well, in case you missed any of our news bulletin, for more updates, do log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Google Plus at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we are at TV360 Online. The federal government has warned against fueling unfounded rumors and conspiracy theories which could hamper government's COVID-19 vaccination efforts. The executive director of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency made this appeal while providing updates on the COVID-19 vaccination rollout exercise in the country. He added that while a person might have the right to refuse vaccination, they do not have the right to endanger the health of others.
People have a choice not to get vaccinated, right? But the environment that is being provided is what we've mentioned, that yes, you do have a right to say you don't want to get vaccinated, but you also do not have a right to infect others. There are conversations, for example, like if a health worker says they will not get vaccinated, that is fine and within their rights. However, is it also within their rights to infect their patients? Doesn't the patient have the right to say, health worker, I'd like you to get vaccinated and be protected against COVID-19 so you don't infect me? So those are conversations that are going on in the States. And it is a healthy conversation that needs to go on in the States. And I don't think there should be any censorship of those types of conversations. The choice still remains with the individual. But as a society, we need to ask ourselves that question, whether after all of the investments by the federal government, by our donors, by our partners to procure the vaccines so that we can protect ourselves, protect our elderly, protect the most vulnerable, that we should allow a few individuals, who have now delved into conspiracy theories, prevent us from protecting our loved ones, prevent us from building back better from a catastrophic situation that we faced because of the COVID-19 pandemic last year.
Meanwhile, the Federal High Court in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital, has granted an order restraining the Edo State Governor, Godwin Obaseki, and the state government from restricting unvaccinated persons from attending mass gatherings from September. The applicant won Charles Osarate filed a suit through his counsel, Echezona Etiaba, asking the court to other parties to maintain status quo pending the hearing and determination of the motion on notice. The others as prayed were granted by the vacation judge at the FHC Port Harcourt, Justice Stephen Deoyop Pam. The governor will launch the second phase of the state's COVID-19 vaccination exercise last week, had said those who cannot show proof of taking at least one dose of the COVID-19 vaccine may not be allowed into public places such as worship centers and banking halls. Well, we take a short break here and return with more stories in business. To stay with us. Well, up next is business news and stock market review with Mary Kanu. Over to you, Mary.
Thank you very much, Falashadi. And now in business, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has directed all banks in the country to publish on their websites the name and bank verification number of customers who engage in fraudulent practices to obtain foreign exchange from banks. In a circular issued on Tuesday and signed by CBN's Director, Banking Supervision Department, Haruna Mustafa, the bank outlined the fraudulent practices to include the use of fake visas and cancellation of air tickets after purchase of personal travel allowance and business travel allowance. The Apex Bank said the new directive was given to curb the unwholesome conduct of some customers trying to circumvent its new forex policy, which according to the CBN portends risk to the integrity and stability of the forex markets. But we'll take a break and return with a review of the stock market. Don't go away. The last trading day in the month of August sees the bear growling on the floor of the exchange group, moving the bullish side to end the month of August in the reds. Now, about 55 billion naira is lost to renewed profits taken by investors amid a 0.27% drop in the market's main index, which still remains within the 39,000 level. Now, leading the pack of equities which contributed to today's losses, Nigerian breweries and livestock had combined 5 naira losses to top the losers chart. Now, the downturn recorded today did not come as a surprise, and this is because investors are still being cautious about the macroeconomic environment and the lack of incentives to lift their sentiments. Now, despite the losses, 16 equities led by Transcorp Hotels and Honeyflower topped the gainers chart with 85 kobo gains. Now, meanwhile, activity chart sees 425 million valuable shares valued at 1.967 billion naira exchange hands in 4,553 deals. Now, the equities market may be down today, but with its dynamic nature, we can still expect a rebound from bargain hunters in the month of September. Now, moving on to the foreign stock market, UK stock FTSE is trading in the reds, mainly due to weakness in financials and commodity-linked stocks. While maintaining consistency from previous days' trade, US stocks Dow Jones is currently trading in the greens at 0.12%. Also, Asia stock Nikkei reversed from losses yesterday and is currently trading in the greens at 1.08%. Well, that's all on a review of the stock market. Back to Folashade for the rest of the news.
Well, thank you very much, Mary, for that update. Now on the foreign scene, as the last U.S. troops made their way out of Afghanistan, marking the end of a 20-year war, celebratory gunfire resounded across the Afghan capital on Tuesday. Shaky video footage distributed by the Taliban showed fighters entering the airport after the last U.S. troops flew out on the aircraft a minute before midnight, and in a hasty and humiliating exit for Washington and its NATO allies. Taliban spokesman, while speaking to the reporters from Kabul airport, said that they do not have any doubts that the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan is a free and sovereign nation. He further revealed that since America has been defeated, the nation would like to have good relations with the rest of the world, promising that Afghans' freedom, independence and Islamic values will be protected. Meanwhile, in an interview with TV360 Nigeria, security risk management expert Arabiu Adamu highlights some of the impacts of the Taliban takeover on Africa, particularly the Sahel region.
The various groups that are operating in the Sahel region are likely to see this as a motivating factor. The fact that this group waited 20 years and became resilient and have now succeeded, it's going to be definitely a motivational factor for them. Once the government in Afghanistan, the Taliban government, takes a hold, and what's the likelihood that it would start a foreign campaign to support other like-minded groups like it across the world? If that happens, what kind of support? Is it going to be moral? Is it going to be financial? Is it going to be in terms of weapon? Let's remember that it has taken over an arsenal. What the last time I checked, about 220 billion US dollars with equipment that no other group of a similar nature has access to. So what's going to use that equipment for? Will it decide to extend it in a military sort of alliance with these groups in the Sahel? Of course, distance is against it. But then, since we know there are gun running channels, and these gun running channels have been very beneficial to these groups, then it can decide to use that.
In sports, Nigeria's The Tigers on Tuesday ended their 2021 FIBA AfroBasket campaign on a sour note with a loss to lowly rated Uganda in Kigali, Rwanda. The Nigerian senior men's basketball team, who were the competition's champions in 2015, had qualified for this qualification to quarterfinals fixture by finishing second from Group C. But at the Kigali Arena on Tuesday, the Nigerian side lost 12-24 and 19-20 in the first two sets to trail by 13 points in the opening half. I need to wrap on our news bulletin. Thank you for watching. I am Fola Shade. Ogurinde. Bye for now.